Dispatcher said a civilian reported a male individual standing out in the middle of a cornfield off County Road 16. Caller said the guy wasn't moving, wasn't walking, just standing there facing the road. No visible threat, but it was strange enough that the caller didn't want to approach. Claimed they honked the horn a couple of times. No response. I rolled out with Deputy Klein. Weather was clear, mid-September, crisp air, but nothing abnormal. No rain, no fog, just a quiet night in a rural patch of town. When we arrived, we pulled the cruiser off to the shoulder. Fields stretched maybe 200 yards deep, fenced off with an old wire line, standard corn 6 feet tall, maybe more in spots. We exited the vehicle. No movement at first, but then about 60 feet in from the edge, you could see him. A man couldn't make out his face clearly, but he was standing dead still. Hands at his sides, not slouched, not swaying, just rigid, facing the road, eyes locked in our direction. No flashlight on him, no reflective gear. He wasn't a farmer or a hunter. I gave a verbal warning. Standard procedure. "Sir, Sheriff's Department, identify yourself." No response, no shift, just stood there. I stepped forward a few paces, shined the flashlight toward him. Still nothing. No blink, no sign of life. I radioed it in. Klein and I began walking the fence line, looking for a break we could step through. Took maybe 45 seconds. By the time we breached the fence and stepped into the field, the man was gone. I don't mean he walked off. I mean flat out gone. There were no footsteps, no rustling. You walk through corn like that, it moves, it makes noise, it snaps stalks. Nothing was disturbed. No trace, no drag marks, no prints. We fanned out, kept eyes open, called out again. Whole search lasted 17 minutes before we pulled back and logged the incident. We interviewed the original caller on scene. They were still parked up the road. Middle-aged woman said the figure had been there for at least 5 minutes before she called. Said it felt wrong the way he stood there, not even twitching. She thought maybe it was a mental health situation. Back at the station, one of the local reserve deputies heard us logging the report. Guy's been around a long time. Used to run night shifts back in the 90s. Said it was near the old Garver place. That's when the name came up. Caleb Garver, farmer. Owned about 80 acres of that same land back in the late 80s. According to county records, Garver was found dead in 1993 hanging from a tree right near the south end of the field. Apparent suicide. His wife had passed a year earlier, cancer, I think, and folks said he wasn't the same after that. Didn't talk much, stopped going into town. Corps' report ruled it clean, no signs of foul play. But the part that stuck out, he was last seen alive, standing out in that field. Same way, just motionless, staring. We pulled the old case file. Nothing paranormal, nothing mysterious, just a man alone and broken. But I'll say this, over my 2 decades in uniform, I've dealt with enough real danger to know when something's a threat and when something's just off. That night, it wasn't dangerous, but it sure as hell was off. We ran follow-ups for 3 nights. No sightings, no tracks, nothing on the game cams mounted nearby, no missing persons reports that matched. Case was filed under unresolved disturbance, non-criminal. But I still remember how he stood there perfectly still, like he'd been waiting for something or someone, and then just like that, gone. And now a huge thank you to all my amazing viewers for joining me in these bone-chilling stories. If you're new here and enjoyed getting chills down your spine, smash that like button and subscribe to venture deeper into the shadows with us. Each like fuels the darkness, bringing more chilling, haunting stories to light. Now steady your nerves as we cruise into our next horrifying story. It was late October. Weather was already turning. We were called out to assist in a missing persons search up in the high timber near Red Ridge. Mostly state land, dense woods, limited access. Subject was a 34-year-old male, Daniel Mercer. Hiker, solo camper. Hadn't checked in with family after 3 days off-grid. Last cell ping came from a service road about 7 miles from the main trailhead. We had boots on the ground from 2 counties, sheriff's units, K-9, 1 state SAR team, and a few volunteer firemen from nearby towns. I was partnered with Deputy Harlan, young guy 6 years in, sharp but still had that edge of jumpiness in thick woods at night. We were on our 3rd sweep of Sector C about 1.4 miles north of the original campsite. No wind, no rain, just cold, quiet forest. I was on the lead with thermal. Heron had the infrared scope. Standard protocol. Around 1:42 hours, we paused to scan a creek. That's when Harlan stiffened. He lowered the scope and said, "There's something watching us." I asked him to clarify. He said he saw a set of eyes reflective like an animal but higher than a deer, taller than a man, roughly 30 yards out due west. I took a look through the thermal. Nothing. Black field, no heat. We repositioned about 20 feet to the south, trying to get a different angle. Harlan looked again. Eyes had moved. Same height, same direction. Watching. Still no body, no heat, no audio, just that feeling. I kept the channel open and logged it. Possible wildlife, no thermal return. Mark the coordinates. I've seen mountain lions do weird things, but even they give off heat, and they don't hold position that long without twitching. We kept moving. 5 minutes later, same report. New position. Eyes now to the northeast, about 50 yards off. Elevated. Still watching. Harlan said it didn't blink, didn't duck, just there. Now, I've had deputies spook before. It happens. Darkness plays tricks on you. But I've known Heron long enough. He's not prone to imagination. When I took the infrared and scanned for myself, nothing. But the guy was stone serious. We marked a second set of coordinates and tried to close the distance. 30 yards in, the forest floor was clear. No tracks, no sign of animal movement, no broken branches, dead quiet. The kind of silence you only hear when even the birds are holding their breath. We did a full perimeter sweep. No heat signatures in a 200 feet radius. Radioed back to command. They asked us to hold position while they sent in drone recon with FLIR. Drone passed over twice, clear RID, no movement. We logged the anomaly and moved out. But for the rest of the shift, every time we stopped, Heron said the same thing. The eyes were back, watching, moving, keeping pace. Search went on 2 more days. Mercer's body was never found. No signs of struggle, no torn gear, just his tent zipped up, stove still packed, no signs of a fire ever being lit. Officially, it's listed as missing, presumed lost. No foul play, no physical evidence. But off the record, I've worked SAR in 7 counties over 22 years. Bears, cougars, illegal grow sites, survivalists, you name it. I've seen people in bad ways, but what rattled me wasn't what I saw. It was what we didn't. Eyes that show up on scope but leave no heat. Move without a sound, watch without blinking, and vanish without a trace. First complaint came in on a Thursday night just after 1,000 p.m. Local teenager walking home heard what she described as someone screaming for help from a storm drain behind the old meat packing plant on Dresden Avenue. We get kids calling in dumb stuff all the time, so at first we didn't give it too much weight. But then another call came through. Same night, different caller, different street, same story. By Friday morning, we'd logged 5 reports. All different blocks, same neighborhood, always after sundown. Always the same line, someone yelling, sometimes help, sometimes just wordless screams. I was assigned to check it out with Officer Landry. Been on the force 15 years, worked missing persons and narcotics. He's not one to overreact. We rolled out around 1930. Brought standard lights, radios, and extended batons in case we had to clear anything out physically. First location was on the corner of Myrtle and 4th. Long concrete drain opening just wide enough for a grown adult to squeeze into if they were desperate. We dropped down a floodlight and called out. Silence, no movement. I climbed down with Landry covering topside. The smell was bad. Sewage and rot, but that's expected. What wasn't expected were the signs someone had been living there. Empty water jugs, crumpled food wrappers, nesting made from rags and insulation. Most of it was damp, but not old. Hadn't been there more than a week, maybe less. And then there were the drawings, crude sketches scratched in with a nail or a piece of metal pipe. Over and over, always the same thing. Eyes, not faces, just eyes. Some big, some small, some stacked in rows. Some isolated in the corners of the walls. A few had words etched under them, rambling stuff. They watch, don't sleep. Below it waits, stuff like that. We radioed it in. Over the next few days, we swept all 5 drains mentioned in the complaints. Same signs in 3 of them. Evidence of squatters, makeshift bedding, and more of those damn eyes on the walls. No bodies, no people, just the leftovers. One drain had an old military duffel bag tucked under the walkway. Inside were clothes, a spoon, a camping knife, and a spiral notebook, water damaged and half rotted. But the parts that were legible, just pages and pages of hand-drawn eyes. By Monday, complaints stopped. We ran prints on everything we found. No hits, no match in CODIS, no match locally. We cross-referenced with missing person. Still nothing. No transient matching. The profile had been reported in the area. We closed the drains off after that, sealed them with temporary grates. Maintenance filed a report with Public Works, and the city gave us the go-ahead to clear out any remains. All items were tagged and stored, but no follow-up ever got traction. Some officers say it was a mentally unstable squatter. Someone off their meds hiding underground, maybe. But here's what bothers me. There's no easy way in or out of those drains once you're deep inside. Most of the ones we inspected had drops too steep to climb without gear, no ladders, no footholds. And still, someone had been down there living, watching, drawing. And if those screams were real, no one ever found out who was making them or why. Crime scene was routine at first. Single vehicle collision on Old Baxter Road. Victim was a 28-year-old male, Matthew Klein. Vehicle left the roadway, took out a utility pole, and came to rest against a drainage culvert. No skid marks, no sign he brake, seatbelt on, airbags deployed. He was already gone by the time EMS arrived. Time of death called at 22:14 hours. Neck fracture clean, no signs of foul play. Toxicology later came back clean too. No drugs, no alcohol. Just a man who for some reason didn't turn the wheel. I was on scene to assist with traffic and documentation. Part of that job includes taking photos, damage assessment, interior shots, surroundings. I used my issued body cam and my secondary handheld Nikon like I've done 100 times. Took a full sweep around the vehicle, including 2 shots of the driver's side window since it was intact and showing a clean reflection of the interior. Now at the time, there was no one else around that side of the car. EMS was still staging at the rear. My partner was directing traffic 40 yards down. I stood alone when I took those photos. Later that night, back at the station, I uploaded the files for the report, started flipping through the photos, angles of the crash, point of impact, interior shots. Then I hit the first driver's side window frame and I stopped. In the reflection of the glass, clear as day but slightly out of focus, was a face, not mine, not the victim's, someone else. Positioned as if they were standing right behind me, close enough to breathe on my neck. Short hair, unshaven, male, no uniform, no gear. Eyes were slightly off C-center, like he was looking through the glass at something beyond me. I checked timestamps. No one reported walking behind me at that time. I reviewed the body cam footage from the same moment. Nothing there. No figure, no shadow, no movement, just me, the car, and the field behind it. We ran the photo through facial recognition, local and state databases. No match. We even brought it up at the next department meeting. Someone suggested maybe it was a compression artifact, camera glitch, but the face wasn't a blur. It had definition, structure, and most importantly, it wasn't in the car. It was reflected from behind me. Victim had no known enemies, no mental health history, no suspicious contacts, just a quiet office worker with a stable job, a girlfriend, and no reason to drive straight off a road he used every day. The final report listed it as a fatal single vehicle accident. Mechanical failure was ruled out. No suicide note, no event that could have caused distraction. But I still have the photo. It's not part of the official file. I kept a copy. Sometimes I look at it and wonder if someone else was there that night. Not in front of me, not on the scene, but close, watching, waiting, and for one fraction of a second caught in the glass. We got the initial call as a structural complaint. Homeowner reported what she described as a red fluid leaking from her living room wall. Dispatch marked it for a welfare check. Maybe plumbing related, maybe something with the drywall. I was the responding unit. Arrived just past 11:20 a.m. House was a single ranch on the north end of town. Nothing remarkable. Retired woman lived alone, no visitors according to neighbors. She led me inside and right away you could see it. Long streaks, maybe 3 or 4 inches wider, running down the wall between the corner bookshelf and a picture frame, deep red, thick, looked like blood, smelled like blood. I asked if anyone had been hurt in a fall, no pets, no leaks in the ceiling. She hadn't even touched the wall, just walked in that morning and saw it out of protocol. I called it in as a potential biohazard. EMS arrived and confirmed Noon in the house had visible injuries. We secured the room, took samples and passed them to the crime scene unit. Techs came in by 14 hours. Standard workup, collected samples from the wall, scraped residue into tubes, documented with photos. I stood by while the lead tech took initial reading. He looked at me and said, "This is blood." I said, "Okay, animal maybe." He said, "No, human and fresh." Here's the part that stuck with me. The wall was solid. We pulled the drywall panel later. Nothing behind it, no pipes, no dead animals, no blood stains deeper in the insulation, no source at all. Just a solid stud frame, clean insulation, no gaps. They tested deeper floor joists, crawl space, nothing. The stain was limited to that one vertical section of wall, and it wasn't soaking down from the ceiling. It was coming out of the wall face itself. We logged it, sent the samples to the state lab, confirmed human blood, AB positive, no match in any database, no known donor. No one had bled in that house, no accidents, no trauma, no history. Home was built in '87, single owner before the current one. We pulled police records going back 35 years, no murders, no suicides, no violent incidents tied to that address. The homeowner was moved out during follow-up testing. We monitored the wall for 4 more days. The bleeding stopped on day 3, dried completely. Techs took final swabs, but no new fluid appeared. We cut out the affected section and sent it for lab preservation. Wall cavity was completely clean. No trace source, nothing hidden, nothing buried, no heat spots, no explanation. Final report listed it as unexplained biological presence. Not criminal, not environmental. I've worked homicides, meth houses, and suicides in confined spaces. I know what blood patterns look like, what seepage looks like. This wasn't it. This was blood from a wall with no source, no crime, no injury, just a house that, for a reason no one could explain, bled. Thank you all for joining me on these journeys. Your support means everything, and I love reading your reactions and personal experiences in the comments. If these stories kept you on the edge of your seat or gave you chills, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more haunting stories. Have you ever experienced something similar? Or perhaps you have your own unexplainable story to share? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Each of your stories adds another layer to our growing community of horror enthusiasts. And if you think someone else might enjoy a good scare, don't forget to share this video with them. Stay tuned for more spine-chilling stories. And remember, sometimes the scariest tales are the ones that could happen to any of us. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, if you dare.